Welcome to another episode of Angels, Positivity, and Love. I'm your host, Michael Andre Ford in San Antonio, Texas. We have a very special guest in North Carolina joining us, Dr. Marla Goldberg, with 2 R's in Goldberg. You will not be able to find her on the internet. This is important. I've got to introduce her first here. She's the host of Guided Spirit Conversations. Her website is Marla Goldberg, again, 2Rs.com. She can be found with her show on Apple, Amazon, Audible, Stitcher, all the usual spots. Her Facebook page, facebook.com/MG Healing. MG Healing, as in, again, Marla Goldberg. She's an intuitive, a healer. She's had a tremendous path that she's had to follow. And in developing more self-love for herself, that's what her book is all about. We'll get to that. She's a bestseller. That's how she's turned around and been able to help others develop their own self-love, their own ability to shift what they're experiencing in life and to be able to move forward on their life path. Okay, just want to mention quickly, she's got 20 years of metaphysical training. She's trained in 40 different modalities, super seasoned, super knowledgeable. If it's metaphysics, she can talk all about it, but not just that. She's experienced it and, again, helps others. Last little bit, she's an ordained non-denominational minister. And so, Marla, I'd like to welcome you to the show. Thank you for having me as a guest previously, and we've spoken a bunch in the past. So, again, I'm super excited to have you on.
Well, thank you, Michael. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here with you.
Well, let's get started talking about your background. How did you even become a healer? At one point, before you moved to outside of Charlotte, North Carolina, you were in the, I believe, Illinois, Chicago, perhaps, area.
I was in the Chicago area, and I was born and raised in the city. How I got into metaphysics, how I became a healer, it was not something that was on my radar. It was not, even though I had been going to psychics and tarot readers since I was 14 years old, it wasn't something I was going to jump into. I had no interest until I was in my first marriage, which was horrible. It was, I'm just not even going to go into details. It just was not a good marriage. I'll just leave it at that. And so at one point, I was in a really bad place. I don't normally get depressed, but I was like a deer in headlights. I didn't know what to do with my life. I felt like I was a prisoner in this marriage. And it was January, Saturday, and there was a women's conference, and there was a woman talking about how to heal yourself. And I'm like, well, something's got to give, because nothing I've done. I've been going to talk therapy for 10 years throughout the course of my marriage. Nothing was working, nothing. And so I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go. And I was supposed to go with a friend, and she canceled at the last minute. And I was like, oh, I don't want to go by myself. You know how you get like that? And it's like, and then something inside me said, no, you need to go. So I went to this women's conference, and I sat down and listened to this woman talk about how to heal yourself. And at the beginning of these conversations, these lectures, they ask you like 4 or 5 different questions, and your arm goes up. Then she, just tell her how interested you are, that she's in the right spot. And my arm just didn't come down. And then she starts talking about healing yourself and this. And I have to admit, I don't remember a word she said, but all I know is at the end, she was having an informational day in Milwaukee, Wisconsin the following week. And I took the literature, I signed up for it, and I just kept hearing this tiny little voice said, nothing else is working. Nothing else is working. So I go to Wisconsin the following week and sit through it. And I just couldn't wrap my mind around anything that she was saying. And at the end of the day, after 8 hours, you sit to, you turn to one of your neighbors, and she plays a song, and you have to look eyeball to eyeball without turning away. I guess you could blink, but you still had to keep that contact. You had to stare at them and through this whole thing, so that you could look through within their soul, through the physical into their soul. And I'm like, this is just so weird. And again, I was like, I couldn't do it. But this little voice kept pushing me, saying, nothing else is working, nothing else is working. So I signed up for her basic, which was going to be like 3 months later, 2 or 3 months later. And I was also suffering with chronic fatigue. So I had slept for 2 years and I had this great homeopath who really got me up, but I would have moments of fluctuating back into the chronic fatigue. And so all of a sudden I started feeling sick and I got really concerned and I called her and she said, Marla, that's your ego just getting in the way. It knows what's coming down the pike and doesn't want you to do it because it's really happy with you being right where you are. You need to gift yourself and push through this and go. And so I did. And the first morning, we did this practice of grounding and then having a partner. And I had my first known psychic experience. And it was like, oh my God. And so this practice, which I thought was so cool, is you go knee to knee with your partner, and the receiver has their hands up and out, and the one who's giving puts their hands gently on top. And for a period of time, you just, you do what my teacher called figure eight breathing. So you connect with them, but you breathe in, visualizing your breath going from the back of your heart, through the back of their heart, into the front of your heart. When you breathe out, it goes down into the earth and comes back up through the back of the other person's heart. And I got 3 visions. One of them was a braid that was being cut and it turned into a rope bridge. So that was vision 2, the braid, the bridge. And then I saw little tiny hands playing piano. That's all I got. And I just kept saying, please, please give me something. I don't want to disappoint this person, please. And I'm begging, I'm pleading with spirit. And they give me these 3 things. And when I was sharing with her what I received, she explained she would grow her hair down to like her waist. She would go into the forest and she had a ritual where she would cut her hair. The next thing she shared was the rope bridge was she lived in a very rural area. And when she had to walk to town to go to the supermarket or whatever, she had to cross a rope bridge to get on the other side. And the last piece is she said the only real furniture they had in their house was a piano from her childhood. And she was teaching her children how to play piano. I was like, oh my God, this is just amazing. Because I had a friend who was highly intuitive, and I kept saying, how come it's not working for me? How come it's not working for me? So I went to the 3-year school, learned about 14 different modalities, did a lot of self-healing, and never thought that I would be a healer for anybody but friends and family and myself. That was it. That's the only people I was interested in. Moving fast forward, I still kept taking classes because they interested me. And I'm dating my husband. We get married and we're traveling somewhere. And I'm in a deep sleep, and this big, loud, booming voice yells at me and tells me, you need to start a practice and you need to start helping people. And I jump out of bed and I'm like, what, looking like, who's here? Who's in my room? This in this hotel room. I look over at my husband. He's sound asleep. And that's what prompted me to get started having a practice. So I started a part-time practice, still taking classes. Anyway, fast forward, many classes, many modalities, and now being a doctor of metaphysical healing, here I am with you.
Oh, I love it. Okay, so there's a lot of different types of healing, and everyone on their path as a healer helping others, it shifts over time. Like, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, you liked laying hands on people, but today it might not be that way. Can you take us through just what are some of the modalities now that are your favorite, you find people are most receptive to? What's been the most in demand? Take us through a couple of those.
Most in demand is the intuitive life coaching. So I started 5 intuitive life coach, and because it's intuitive reading, but it's helping you on your life path, opposed to saying, oh, you're going to meet your husband or your wife or your partner, or you're going to move to New Mexico. I mean, I don't get into any of the future casting. I see what's going on with you in the here and now, and I work with you on techniques or things to do to move on the path you want to be in. So that's my favorite. Past life regression, love taking people on that regression because it's so healing for the person who's on it was on the table, so to speak. I can do this remotely. I'd want them, prone on their bed or on a sofa, just where I could see them. They don't have to see me. And I take them on a journey. And the great thing about past life regression is you go into this trance and you go into a past life where you've had similar issues as one you're trying to deal with in the current life that you're in. And through the, collecting all the information of what had happened and all that, and then we go into a healing process. So it is actually a healing modality. It's not a curiosity, like, oh, what was my past life? Oh, what did I do here? This is a way to not just see a past life, but to heal it as well.
Oh, I like it. On the first part, can you take us through just some, not case studies or anything serious, no names, but just some recent in the last year, the last 6 months, this year, some situations that have been interesting, fun for the person who's receiving the assistance, but that have been also interesting or fun for you. Not war stories. These are peace, love, healing stories. So,
right. I'm trying to, let me think of some. So a friend of mine, who I also coach, but we were meeting, and she walked in the door, and she comes in, and I'm like, oh, who's that new person in your life? What's going on? And she goes, oh my God, how did you know? And I said, I could see it. I can read it. And we started talking about it. We were talking about stuff, when you're in a new relationship and people still are in their own ways and they haven't quite started the compromise, because I think all relationships are like the cha-cha. I love ballroom dancing and Latin dance. So I do a lot of dance references, but in the cha-cha, if anybody knows the cha-cha, you take 1 foot, 1 step forward, 1 step back, and 3 little steps in a direction. And so not everything is a forward motion, because you have to go back to learn, and that's when people have their loggerheads, and which doesn't have to be a bad thing. It just needs to be worked through. It's a workaround. How do you work through it where both people can handle it? And, we were talking about it. And what I always say to people is I'll give them the information that I get. The thing is, you either want to accept it or you don't want to accept it. Now, a lot of people, if you're giving them cautionary insights, they'll either go, thank you for that, or they'll say, oh, I need to think about this, which is fine, because sometimes you have to marinate on something to really work through things. And if people want to take what I say and take the action steps, they will find they'll move forward. If you decide not to take the action steps, you're going to find yourself on a hamster in a wheel, because until you're ready to make those changes, to do those things you need to do, to have either to know that the relationship is going to meld together or weave together, and yes, there's some pulls, or it's not. That's based on what they do with the information. But she took the information and she listened to what I said, and there was a shift, and they got back together, and things are different. But sometimes, people live in their own bubble of swirling energies that they can't see past. And so sometimes they need what have they got? A shock to put, like an energetic shock to put, to sort of like go, oh, gee, yeah, I need to wake up and do things differently.
Yeah. Okay, so you can see, feel energy, you can help folks navigate their own life situations so that they can shift in consciousness to open up, loosen up, and get going, like living again on different fronts. Do you want to tell us, do you want to tell us more on some of the practice areas some of the areas that you've generally been helping people? It's career, it's relationships, it's this, it's that, healing.
Look, what does everybody want to know about? What's going to happen in my career? Am I going to meet the one? My health, financial, how do I get past the blocks that are keeping me limited? Because the majority of us, myself included, I was very much this way, where I lived around negative and limiting belief systems. Now, were the belief systems mine? Traditionally, they're not. Traditionally, it's the authority figures in your life that will imprint you with ways to think about yourself that are not positive, glowing, loving, supportive. Friends say things that are hurtful. Teachers. I mean, how many teachers have said things to kids that just would like blow them away? In my high school graduation, my freshman science teacher said to me, "Oh, I remember you. You're the dumb blonde with brown hair." Now, I've never been dumb. I might have been a little spacey, but I've never been dumb. And I had a choice. And this is a big thing too, is because choice is so huge on your journey. I had a choice that I could get really upset, take it in, and call myself stupid or dumb. Or I had a choice to say, well, that's about them, not about me. And I'm so glad to say that was about them, not about me. That's the route I took for that one. But it's so I help people out all those. I'm not a medical intuitive. And I believe that the majority of people's health issues start with your negative limiting belief systems, and work energetically, that you're like your energy healing. When you can heal yourself energetically, spiritually, mentally, your physical will come, all those ailments will go away. But here's the thing. I love this quote. So your mind has to be like a parachute, because a parachute doesn't work if it's not open. So your mind has to be open for things to work. Now, you can be skeptical. That's okay. It's healthy to be skeptical. But if you're skeptical and you're like, this isn't going to happen, blah, 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 blah. I don't pursue working with someone with that attitude who wants me to prove it to them. I don't have to prove it to them. I'll do my work, but if you don't do your work, things aren't going to shift if you're not open to what the work is. And things don't shift. So, but the physical, like if you're telling me you have a backache, headache, I could do hands-on stuff with you. I could do remote healing like that, but it's going to only be a temporary band-aid, because you're not fixing the root of the issue.
Yeah. Thinking could be perceived as flows of energy. We tend to go right back to the same circular flows, spinning, whatever you want to call it, limiting beliefs, as you said. I pulled up a quote just now. This is, take it with a grain of salt if anyone's skeptical out there, but you can listen, you can hear, you can feel guides, angels, your relatives, and so on. But Jesus once said about compassion, open eyes and an open heart. And I thought that was a beautiful definition for compassion. So could you talk to us? There's thousands of definitions of compassion. How do you describe compassion for us? And the way I would just to throw out a metaphor is that it's kind of like the oil in the machinery. The easier you can go on yourself, the smoother your engine runs, the more what you talked about, or what your past, your current, your presence about building your own self-love, helping others build their self-love. In a way, that's self-compassion. That's compassion. It's all interconnected.
It is all interconnected. And you're right. There's self-compassion, and then there's compassion for others. There's compassion for animals. There's compassion for waterfowl. I mean, for living things, for plants. Everybody has a different level of compassion. And, some people are brought up and they have no compassion whatsoever. They don't have compassion for themselves. They're very hard on themselves, very judgmental, very critical, and very limiting. They're horribly, non-compassionate to another person, which they hold them to ridiculous standards. How is compassion important in our trajectory and how we communicate with others? Is the fact that compassion to me is having a softness, a gentleness, an empathy about what you're going through, what you're dealing with in the moment. And that's self-compassion. And treating it not with berating yourself or anything, but saying, oh, okay, so you're angry. Why are you angry? And how do you want to pursue this? And how does this move forward? And, how, you're just softer with yourself, and you're more exploratory with yourself about the things that you're you're working with. For another person. So here's an example. Someone is speeding, they cut you off, right? They're going down the highway at crazy rates. Once you like get your bearings back, because the first knee jerk is like, oh my God, what the, is this guy doing or this gal doing? It doesn't make a difference. The compassionate part comes when you go, oh, I hope nobody's hurt. I hope there's not an emergency. And that's when you're putting out love and compassion for somebody else's situation, not knowing what it could have been. And so compassion to another person is taking into account that what they're presenting to you is not necessarily what's going on with them. And you have to pull back and say, okay, well, maybe they're hurting. Maybe they're having an off day. Maybe they're X, Y, and Z. And that's how you're compassionate towards another. You see somebody who's hurt or struggling with something, you offer to help. It's part of kindness. Compassion and kindness, I think, go hand in hand together. And so when you're dealing with compassion, you deal like with work for kindness. You see an old person struggling, with packages, help them. I was at the supermarket in Wisconsin not too long ago, and this woman was by herself, and God only knows she had like enough food to fill like 3 carts, but she was by herself in the self-checkout, right? So nobody's bagging for her, nobody's anything. And I saw that and I said, can I help you? Why? Because, yes, there was a growing line, but she's also, once she's done putting everything through the belt, she's got to package it. So and she goes, are you the next one? I said, no. I said, but I see you've got a lot and I'm willing to be here to help you package your bags and, to help you out. That's being compassionate for somebody else. It's giving back in a way as well.
Nice. Okay, what's an exercise a person can do to find their center? Because a lot of this has to do with we're so up here, we think our situations, other people are so real the way we think they are. The labels, the reactions, the judging, the fear, the stress, the worry, the daily this, the daily that. How can we just pump the brakes on what we think we know to find our center, to begin that practice, to cultivate that practice of compassion, kindness, gentleness? How would we ever get off our iPhone long enough at the supermarket or post office to hold the door open for someone, go out of our way 20 steps ahead, throw that door open for the person and, make sure they had a good day all of a sudden. But talk to us, how do we go full stop from up here, or how can we at least pump the brakes twice to get from 70 miles an hour down to 50?
Well, grounding is huge. You ground through meditation. You can ground yourself. You can go in your car, put your 2 feet, turn the motor off, park your car, close your eyes and take slow, deep breaths. Visualize roots growing into the center of the earth, bringing that energy up to you, going through your heart, up to universe, coming back down through your heart, and just sort of like doing this merging together. Within a few minutes, you will start feeling less in your head and more grounding. You have to stop thinking though. You have to make a conscious effort to stop being in your head. So, once you're done breathing, if you go back to your head, guess what happens? You pop yourself out of what you just did. So it's like you paying attention to how you're feeling when you're doing this breathing. And don't jolt your eyes open. Slowly open your eyes and see, and scan how you're feeling before you jump into doing anything. That would be number 1. Number 2, taking it into a meditation. Now, people go, I can't meditate. I can't focus. Oh, look at that pretty baby.
She was behind the screen. So audience members would have noticed an earthquake, but it was really this. This is Presley, named after an angel, but misbehaving a little. So she's going on the floor. Okay,
that's
but
so funny.
Back to the centering and back to the, there's the difference between thinking and awareness.
Right. And so again, meditation, you just take it a little bit longer. If you're like, oh, no, I can't do it, blah, 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 put on a guided meditation, because what it does, it allows your mind to follow the voice of someone else, and you following their instructions will help you with that. And when you meditate and you get grounded, you shift, your energy will shift, and you might become more aware. Mindfulness look at it, all of this is effort. You have to put in effort, not like lugging, boulders and rocks. not that kind of effort, but it's practice. It's like any type of workout that you do. If you walk, you're not going to get out, put on your walking shoes and put on 10 miles the first time out. It's something you build up on. And it's the same thing with mindfulness and awareness. And so when you come out of your head and think about kindness, and if you were struggling, wouldn't you want someone to offer to help you? Or would you want to just let them watch you struggle? It's putting yourself in somebody else's shoes. And I think those things are beginning steps to learning how to center yourself. And, when you go into the world, being more aware of what's going on around you. And that will also help in ways of if something nefarious is going on, and if you're paying attention to the signs of things and you're feeling what's going on, I think it could be your own automatic alarm to watch out for things.
Yeah, the more, I don't want to say slow you are, but the more you're here, the more you're aware, the more you're picking up on the flows in and around you. It could be just your own thoughts. You were around a huge crowd. Not everybody was happy-go-lucky. You might have gotten some hugs from some people. You lighten them up by getting the hugs.
Yes.
You're carrying more of their energy than you realize. And you start having heavy thinking, and you're usually a light person. There's just a lot to this, and I'm not sure
that's being an empath. But what you're talking about is being empathic, which is a little different.
Yeah.
So we're all empathic. I don't care what anybody says. Some people feel it, some people don't. Some people feel it more than others. They're very sensitive and they pick up all of it, the mental, the physical, and the emotional. And those are the three ways empaths pick up from other people. So let me share what I share this with people all the time. When we are walking down the street, our energy field is way out there. It could be, like 8 or 9 feet out. So think of that energy field as like a fisherman's net, right? So if you're walking and your net is out, what's going on when you walk past people and when you walk past situations? Well, you're picking up the garbage. You're picking up all that stuff, and it's all nicely entwined in your energy fields. Okay. First of all, when you get home, please clear that. How do you clear it? Epsom salt baths, smudging, sound, taking a chime or a gong or a tuning fork and taking the using the vibrations all over the front and back of your body. Epsom salt baths are great, not only for clearing the energy fields, but also releasing toxins that you've taken into your body. But what I do is, in addition to these little remedies I just shared with you, I intentionally put an invisible shower on the threshold of my door. And I set the intention that whenever I go through this doorway, anything that doesn't belong to me, meaning other people's debris, gets washed away. And so, for me, I put it up there, I set the intention, and I go through it. Now, if I'm starting to have some bad times again, well, then I will put it up again. I would take the old one down and put up a new one and refresh it. But those are the things that I do when having those empathic cleansings that we need to have.
So setting boundaries, whether it's the workplace, just headed out to the supermarket, where you're going to interact with people, it's super important to at least be giving credence to or allowing for the concept that you can pick up on another person's energy. We all do it. We might not know it. Again, concerts are extreme. A lot of people are extreme, but talk to us again about more boundary stuff so that people can really understand that half the bad times they're having are not necessarily, you do the rest of this. Yes.
But here, I just want to say something. When you go to a concert, yes, you're intermingling with other people's, but the vibration of the instruments will help shake off. If you're running on a high frequency, stuff doesn't hang on to you. So it's keeping your vibration high, which I can address again after we're done with this. But
here's a concert photo, by the way, with angels.
Oh my God, look at them. They're just having the best time.
Yeah, speaking of your high vibe, there's joy in the center. Claire is the bright purple off to the right, if I'm saying it the right way.
Yes, it's to the right. And Claire is my favorite color.
Oh, yeah, do that. There's Claire.
Oh, anyway, but going into life, making sure that you do things to clean yourself off. Now, let's talk about vibrations because we carry extra souls. Many of us do. Toxic streams, portals, and so I'm going to go with the extra souls. So, what are extra souls? Extra souls are earthbound entities that attach to when you're having a lower vibration. So, let me talk about lower vibration versus higher. I'm going to start with the higher first. When you sing, when you dance, when you're happy, when you're joyful, your vibration is just up there, right? And you can feel the change. When you come out of a concert, you can feel from the bass, your body is thumping. That's changing your vibration, raising your vibration. Now, when you don't feel well, when you're stressed, when you're angry, and those kind of emotions, that keeps you in a lower vibrational state. When you're in a lower vibrational state, these extra souls can see you, whether it's at a cemetery, hospital, doctor's office, bar, restaurant, casino, where they hang around. That's where the low vibrational energies tend to hang. And you come in, let's say you were fine, but somebody cut you off or somebody just dented your car and you're done dealing with it, but you're stressed and you're angry and you walk in to meet your friend. Well, the low level energies go, oh, look at that one. I'm going to go hang out with that one for a while. And they attach on. And I mean, I have cleared multiple 10 digits of extra souls on people who were carrying them. And after I'm done clearing them, they feel light, they feel breezy because they don't have that weight from the energetic weight that hangs on you. And so, high vibrations keep them from sticking to you to begin with. Or if you feel that, you're getting sluggish, put on music and dance, chant. Ecstatic dance is so much fun. And that's just free form dancing to music. Sing, put your favorite oldies on and sing at the top of your lungs. Sing and dance. All of those things will help constantly keep your vibration up. Again, good thoughts, happy thoughts, joyful thoughts will do the same. But going into now toxic streams and portals and how do those happen? And those happen from emotional outbursts. And so there are ways to shut them, permanently seal them, and remove the remnants. But if you look at a portal like a geyser, right? So when it pops open, it's just all this debris comes out and it just dirties your field. So, when you shut them, clean them, that goes away. Toxic streams, you heard, I think, I'm trying to remember which decade it was, but I remember when people were really, really bad about the environment and throwing their garbage in waterways and on the highways. And I mean, places were just looking horrible because people didn't have the consciousness to keep their garbage to themselves and clean up and stop throwing things in the waterway and and making it toxic for the fish that we eat, etc. And so it's the same thing where you shut down the toxic stream and you remove the debris that comes through it.
Do you have a favorite request a person can use as often as they wish during the day to ask angels, to ask guides, their relatives, Mary, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, to lift off those energies that don't serve and only the highest intent? Do you have anything like that you would have people recite or say? Or is it more important to take steps? Like I light a tea light as often as I can remember. The IKEA ones tend to last really long time, but I keep one going as like around the clock is one of my steps. I sage a lot. I've got to sage the house later today. Throw a window open. I sage with a feather. We'll do that in a little bit.
With the abalone
Yep.
shell and the feather. So here's a question I ask about your saging. Do you crackle the sage in your bowl and light the bowl? Or do you take the wand, light the wand, and when it's done, just lay it in your bowl so it goes out in a safe way?
I break the pieces into a crate and barrel tea light Uh,
Okay.
and then I light those and I treat every doorway and window and mirror and TV, anything like a chimney. I do a circle around that like a battleship and do sort of extra tightening around the watertight doors. But I do one level, then go upstairs and do the other level, and so on. So I got to make sure I have a
Oh.
window open so the negativity can go out. That's just the way I roll. A lot of people who are sophisticated at it or fast can just ask angels to clear the house. It's like your thing at the front door, the waterfall you talked about.
The
Uh,
intention.
yeah, the intention.
And you can do that. And I think that, I mean, I have a lot of tourmaline, black tourmaline around my house, and quartz and amethyst, because quartz is like the do all, in terms of, cleansing everything, cleansing the energy. Amethyst as well is very good with that, but tourmaline is good for with the negative energies,
Yeah, I've got some
Obsidian is the
tourmaline by the
same.
doors. Yeah, exactly. So, or it's
So
obsidian. It's one of the two, but it's black and it does what you're saying.
yeah, they both do it. So one or the other, you got it covered.
Exactly.
But but you make sure that, I don't know if you do this, but you need to get underneath your furniture. You need to get into corners, because energy loves to hang out in corners and those quiet little spaces that we don't normally think about.
Closets behind doors that are open, that little shadow space. I do those, but I hadn't thought of below the furniture. I'm looking around my house trying to figure out. Yeah, I can see a couple spots where I should pay attention. But
Okay, so the bookcase right behind you, on the top shelf that has all those books, and I don't know if they're CDs or all books, they're books and cards. Just put some in there, because the little slit at the top, guess
Yep.
what? Energy goes there.
I'm going to blow you some sage right now. And
Okay.
folks who have watched the show before have watched our guests catch it. So this will be North Carolina. I'm in San Antonio. It's no big deal. If you haven't done this before, just give yourself a break. Ask angels, the universe, loving guides, your relatives to help you out of your head, into your heart. This is the Zen thing, seeing without seeing, but here it's smelling without smelling. Catch the scent of lit sage. This is Juniper Ridge. It's on my website. I'm not sponsored or anything, but it's just sage. We did this before the show, a little bit of smoke. Yeah, and Marla Goldberg, 2 R's. So marlagoldberg.com is her website. We're going to talk about our show in just a little bit. But you're catching sage. And my only unofficial tip for sometimes for folks out there is just breathe through your mouth 1 millimeter open is an unofficial. It just helps you relax. And it's not a big deal. I've had one person last year yell at me for suggesting that, but it's just a way of letting, breathing through the mouth a little extra. Yeah, it's no big deal. Do it. Don't do it. Don't clench your fist, though. Cross your legs and go, I'm not going to do it.
Well, that's like the closed mind thing that I was telling you about.
Yeah. Did you get the scent of sage?
I did.
Now, how about we talk about your show for just a second?
Sure thing.
You've had it going on for a while. It's definitely distributed everywhere. And if you either want to tell us about some of the highlights, some of the guests you found most interesting, what episode should people check out first?
Yours, of course.
Did I do okay for you on that show?
You did great.
Good.
You did absolutely wonderful.
Thank you for saying that.
So Guided Spirit Conversations is 5 years old this past April. It's my 5th anniversary. So I have a lot of great people. And that's what the show came to. So in 2017, 2018, there was a voice that kept saying, you need to have a podcast, you need to have a podcast. And at that time, I was more of a behind the cameras person. I had an event management company. I was so good at doing the behind the screen things. And all of a sudden here I have to do a podcast and talk to people. And I was like, oh, but the show was created. So this is how I was guided by spirit. It's a show where I bring on some of the most incredible metaphysicians from the globe, spiritual leaders who are amazing, and they work amazingly with their clients, and they help so many. And so it's an interview format, and even when I interview myself, but it's an interview format talking about things and techniques, modalities that are going to be helpful to people so that they can learn what they are, how they work, to not be afraid of them, because some people with their upbringing, they want to dip their toe in, they're being pushed to, but they're afraid. or they've been told it's bad or negative. So this is a way for you to learn about different ways without being afraid of it. And all the guests leave some sort of tip, tool, technique, even whether it's through conversation. They talk about things that they do with their clients themselves, but they give you things that are easily incorporated into your life. So you're able to, start thinking about these techniques and making the shift yourself. It's like baby steps each day.
Oh, I love it. Okay. Can you give us at least one or two names that, what episode would you recommend? I mean, if you're using me for real as an example, that's fantastic. Yeah. Definitely check out my episode.
No, seriously, you were great on, you're a great talker. So, I mean, and you share so well, and your angels were so gracious for all that they shared as well. I've had Suzanne Giesman, Darren Weissman, Pat Longo. I mean, I love Pat. She is just phenomenal. See, here's the thing. Now, some people may know these names if they don't, but I really do a lot of research on my guests to make sure, to see what they do and how they're helpful. So this Thursday's guest is Luz Clara Camus. So Luz Clara is an Indian, well, she's from Chile originally, but she helps women heal and empower them for their feminine energies. She's a sound healer. She is a Pachmanist. How do I say this? Wait, I just had it.
I do that all the time. I mispronounce everything, and
I have to find her bio, and because I think I put it away. But she's a shuck. Okay, I am losing this. I am.
Hey, I identify
well.
with this. I have to have everything explained to me. So
here she is. So she is. She created the first Circle of the Goddess in Chile during a military dictatorship. I mean, how powerful to be able to do that. She is a Pachmanistica medicine woman. She's a Shakaruna, and a Shakaruna is a bridge woman who bridges ancient and modern techniques together in her processes. So people who, like I said, who you may not have heard of, or but that you may heard of, but who are just absolutely incredibly phenomenal in what they do. I'm terrible with remembering names, so I'm trying very hard to do so. I mean, I've had Lisa Silverman on. I've had Natalie Botros. She is the Von Vivant girl, and just all about happiness. She's a happiness coach. So we go all areas of metaphysics. So I don't stay in one lane. It just is the whole thing.
So this is Guided Spirit Conversations. You're the host. It's Marla Goldberg with 2 R's, folks. I'm looking at my microphone right here. So it's Marla Goldberg with 2 R's.com, but you can also just find it on Spotify, Stitcher, Audible, Amazon, Apple, and so
YouTube.
On. Yeah, everywhere that you could possibly look, you're going to find her. Let's jump tangentially here, or sideways. I'm going to not light this lighter like this and have you see angel light around it. Not yet. But let's bring just a couple angels in. Maybe we'll get a topic. Maybe we'll play around with a little bit of light consciousness. Put up any barriers you need or boundaries, which are probably already up, that it's only the highest intent, compassion, love, no thinking, none of my stuff on you. But if you do end up putting your hand out for the audience to feel your vibe, that's going to be an opportunity for anyone listening 4 years in the future. You will not pick up on their energies except for love, their highest side of them. So we're going to do a couple things here. One, I'm going to just put up an angel named Joy. She's met her before. I've met her before. The audience has met her before. If you've watched any of these shows, she's the very first angel people meet. But if you want to put your hand out and feel her vibe, you can feel it on the fingers, the palm, both. If anyone's trying too hard, though, breathe through your mouth a little if you need help. You could feel sparkle on your toes or a whoosh up and down your back. And Marla, if you don't mind asking her a private question, get an answer, get a hug, something for us to talk about next.
Gratitude.
Ooh, beautiful. Let's do it.
Let's talk gratitude. Gratitude's so important. Many of us, and I say us because, it was decades of life before I had started my gratitude practice. And I will tell you, the more you're grateful and thankful for things, even I'm going to say perceived negative, and I'll explain that in a second. But the more you're grateful, the more spirit will bring it to you. But if you keep talking about your lack, like if we've all heard someone go, I'm so broke, I have no money, I'm so broke, and they never get money. They never break the cycle. And that's because they keep saying, I don't have it. So spirit thinks, well, they obviously want to stay where they are. So they keep talking about it. But when you thank them for the little things that start to shift, so maybe you win $5 in a scratch off ticket. Be grateful. Not like, oh, it's only $5. No, thank you. Thank you for this $5, because it's the $5 that you either use for the ticket. So you what do they call it?
Broke even.
Thank you. Broke even. Or maybe you win $10 and you actually make $5. It's like, thank you for the $5. Always be thankful. There's a book by, oh God, I can't remember the guy's name, but it's about gratitude and how he says thank you.
Ken
It's a
Blanchard? No.
No, it's not Ken Blanchard. I have it in my it's far down by now. But the bottom line is he's Japanese, and he says arigato every time something happens. Every time Honda, Ken Honda, Honda, and it talks about in the book about happy money or not happy money, but it talks about being grateful, saying thank you, and he uses arigato with everything you do. So when there are people who don't have a lot, okay, but if you have a roof over your head, you say thank you for the roof over my head. If you have a toothbrush and toothpaste and soap to wash your body, your face, thank spirit for that. And then you'll find more opportunities, more things coming your way. It's when you don't have the gratitude and you have that entitlement where you might find life a little bit more challenging. And gratitude is, I always suggest everybody start your day with gratitude, end your day with gratitude. And it could just be 3 things in the morning. And as you're closing your eyes at night, say, thank you for X, Y, Z that you experienced, that you received, whatever it might be, but say thank you. And so the last thing that you're having before you float off to sleep is the gratitude. And it goes into spirit that way.
And I'll throw in my 2 cents here. Thinking is like unwanted varnish on wood. The wood is incredible. It could be a Brazilian teak or some hardwood that's really fancy and beautiful. That's you. And this varnish is just life. It's thinking, it's the clutter, it's the dust Buddhists talk about that accumulates. And, we all need a lot of dusting. It could be sage around the house or just dusting our brains, because we know what we know. And even if you clear out and you're happy and you're high vibing, ecstatic dancing one moment, welcome to life. I'm shocked there's gambling going on in the casino, Casablanca. You get a lot of that right back. You can get back in a rut or back in what you know, or a lack. It's just natural. It's being human. But that's the opportunity that Marla is talking about here, is getting to hear, showing thanks. Do you have a specific, I know people like very specific lines, like they're an actor on stage, you're the producer or the director, and you're yelling the line, you forgot the line. What's the line we can say verbatim, and then, fill in the blank for gratitude? Do you have that hardcore?
I always start my day by saying, I greet you this day with love, joy, and gratitude. And then I go into what I'm grateful for, so I'm grateful for my husband, my dog. I have a new dog, and her name is Haniel. Who is Haniel?
Ooh.
He's the archangel.
Okay.
She's named after Haniel.
And now I get it, because I'm hearing it as a honey and then L, and I didn't get it
Honey.
just now. Yeah.
Haniel.
Can you share with us about your prior dog, only if you want to? Is it Tug?
Tug.
I'm forgetting. God. Sorry. Yeah. But do you mind sharing? No. Don't go there if you don't want to. We had an experience, and only if it would be fun to mention, but not. I mean, Tug's with you, period.
So Tug was a rescue that my husband and I, adopted on July 5th of 2010. And he had grown into this beautiful 110-pound, beautiful, gentle giant. And he's the most incredible. But I can't, when I say that, I feel guilty because I am fortunate to say that all of my pet family members have always been phenomenal in their own way. But Tuggy was the last to go, and he was my protector. We took care of each other. My husband traveled a lot, and he just was this. Not that he's not going spiritually; he's only going physically. But that physical presence, I mean, he just is this amazing, amazing, amazing being.
Cool. Okay, here's Charlotte, an angel who's all about just helping people expand, hearing words that help them let go and appreciate more what you talked about. But here's an angel, maybe hear something about your new pooch privately so you get something fun, and then something for us all to talk about.
So for my new pooch, she's saying patience. So Hani is a teddy bear. So a teddy bear is a Shih Tzu Bichon mix. And it's so funny because it was like, oh, I didn't want a Shih Tzu because they really are known to be really stubborn. And I have to admit, Tuggy had his stubborn streak. And I just wanted this really easy dog. And Hani, well, she is, let me see if I can pull her up. She looks like a Shih Tzu and she's got the stubbornness of a Shih Tzu. But she just is, this is her 6-month picture. But she's a character, and I think she is going to grow into a phenomenal pet companion. We just have to work out some of these kinks.
I didn't do that. But I've got another angel who's all about plants, animals, and pooches. Her name's Mac. Don't call her Mackenzie. Everything plants, animal, nature. Again, here's something about your current pooch. Here's something from Tug. And have Mac, again, don't call her Mackenzie, add something else for all of us to appreciate about our pets, our loved ones.
They're saying give her time for for Haniel. Tuggy, she's all about he's with you, he loves you. We miss each other's physical presence.
Yes.
So I got that confirmation.
Okay, angel, this is my guardian angel, but a silhouette. Her name's Min. Min, like Minnesota, water, light waves of energy and water. Professorial, but if you go to a pool and see all those like wave light, the light waves on the bottom of the pool in the reflection,
Yes.
that would be her, the way to think about her, or Moana.
And I have to tell you, I see her in here. I see her face in this card.
Yes.
I meant to tell you this earlier, and I do, and so gentle. The word I hear is flowing. She just is a flowing being.
If you'd like to catch the smell of an ocean right now, if anybody needs to close their eyes, close their eyes. But if you're going to do that, ask for extra wave action. Here's some waves, here's some palm fronds, and maybe catch a hibiscus if it's tropical paradise. Catch some sort of floral scent. There's no limits here, but we're not used to asking for stuff beyond our thinking what we know. In other words, the quick out of any situation, any lack.
Yes.
And that brings up a topic that I'd like to give to you. And did you get the ocean okay and everything?
Yeah.
Good. That's very important though here. And it's what we talked about even before the show. There's a certain awareness level. And I know they're talking about it with like technology these days. We can only advance so far based on our own awareness, our consciousness. What will we permit at the sort of external society level? But it's kind of like that with our spiritual, as we go along, bumping along on the path. What will we allow for? Can you talk to us about how there's almost like an invisible good chain of wherever you're at is what you're allowing for, and all the thinking in the world can't get you there. It almost is a weight slowing you down, holding you back. I guess what I'm trying to say is your expansion is a correlation of how much you're letting go, how often you're letting go. Are you willing to let go? Can you talk to us about that? There's a little bit of a tug, an ebb and a flow, your path.
Well, there is, because your ego is always going to try to keep you back on the path you were in. And, and you may take some steps. And again, we go into like a cha-cha-esque type of a situation, because you go forward, but you will come back, but you'll go forward, but maybe this time a little bit further. And when you go back, you're not going to go back as far. And it's that kind of back and forth that happens energetically, in my opinion. When you're talking about a chain that holds you, I just look at it more as the more work you do, the more you open up, the more you accept. It's sort of like, so you have to surrender, allow, and then trust that you're going down the right path. And if you're not, you ask your spirits, you ask your angels, because this is what I've learned, and you can correct me because you have a different relationship, that beings on the other side don't necessarily have free will, and they have to be asked for what they need, for what you need, want, and desire. That a lot of them don't just step in and bring you whatever it is. You need to talk to them. So talking to them, like you keep saying, ask Joy for, ask Nin for, you needed to ask for things. Give me an answer, give me some information, give me an opportunity, bring a trip to me, bring me guidance, whatever it is, right? You're asking them for what it is you want. So talk to them. They love to talk to you, but ask them for the things you need, want, and desire, so they can start working on your behalf. But from what I've been taught, and so it might be different than you're learning and how they talk to you, but they just can't, like, if they see your life turning into a train wreck, they can't necessarily just stop and turn you around. You have to turn yourself around, and they will be with you to help guide you in that turning around.
Well, you brought up the most incredible point of all, is you have free will. And the whole point of your existence of this path is to learn probably just more love, more compassion, more kindness. But because of society, jobs, career, relationships that failed, this happened to you, that happened to you, health, thinking, everything, taking stuff too seriously, ourselves too seriously, we can get off that path of more love. You knew it as a kid, good luck as an adult, adulting. And so because of that free will and the concept that everything you're getting in every moment is actually perfect as it is, experience is the best instructor. Even if you're suffering a lot, I know that sucks to hear for all of us if you're going through a turbulent time, but you have free will. And because they love you so much, they hold that space for you so much, they don't want to interfere. You've signed up for this. You're experiencing exactly what you need to experience. If you switch, it's that Wayne Dyer quote and many other quotes. If you switch the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
Yes.
If you look at that perspective, it's Ted Lasso, and I've said this now on 3 shows, so forgive me if you've heard me say this before. It's season 3, episode 5 or 6, the houseboat in Amsterdam. She falls in the water, the owner of the football soccer team, and the pilot fishes her out. And events don't happen to us, they happen for us. Right. None of us who've worked at IBM for 30 years, who get laid off with 1 hour's notice, say, oh, that was the greatest thing. And for 2 years, oh, I'm so happy IBM laid me off. And no one says, this is my opportunity to start that company I've talked about for 10 years, go to the vacation to Tahiti. Yeah, none of us. We call everybody, we blab, we repeat the story forever, we lock it into thinking concrete. So back to what you said, it's very quick though to switch. You are on this path, you're going through what you think you're going through, they don't want to interfere. You may have ski gates in life that you have to hit, that they'll at certain points intentionally come in and be like, you were supposed to do this at this time, you signed up for it. Right. So by setting your intent and take over from here, by putting it to angels, by putting it to guides, you can get a lot more help than you would think. You just have to be in a place of openness to even ask.
Exactly. And it's so important. And, before the show, we were talking, I told you about my fractured elbow and how 4 other times Spirit wanted me to slow down, and I didn't listen. I was ill January, February, March for a week each. I'm never sick like that. Then I broke my little toe, to slow me down. Didn't listen to that. So in the middle of my move, I moved homes. In the middle of my move, I end up fractured, getting tangled in a landscaper's trailer, fracturing my elbow. And it was Spirit's like, are you finally going to listen to me? Or is something worse have to happen? And I'm like, I surrender. I hear you. I see you. I'm slowing down. And I've had to make a conscious effort to really pull back. Even though I felt very, very lost while I was doing it, because I'm so used to my routine of filling it with all the things that I've been filling it with for so many years. And so now it's like, push, because I got the message, because they will do that. They'll tap you gently. If you don't hear the tap, or they'll whisper in your ear, they tap you harder or maybe yell louder. I had a guest on my show. I think her name was Jean Rockefeller. Might not have been her, but there was a guest on my show who was talking about in their meditation or dream, spirit actually pushed them off a cliff to get them to wake up to their gifts, to what they were doing.
Yep.
You know, things like people, spirit will do that to you.
What's incredible is just sitting still, because we'll do everything we can possibly think of to avoid the one thing we're supposed to be doing at the proper time. It's right in front of us. So the more awareness you can have, the more just going with the flow once in a while. We can call it surrender, but it's so right in front of us what's available to us. More love, a simpler path to walk, remembering what you should remember, could remember, can remember, if you remember to remember. It's always right here, but good luck believing it could be possibly that simple ever, because we've got such complex ways of approaching, judging, fixing things into a certain framework that is the way our value system rolls. I got another angel for you, Archangel Michael. Yeah, if you want to, feel what you can feel, smell what you can smell, hear what you can hear. And if you don't mind getting maybe a mantra from him, or a reminder to us all from Archangel Michael, or something we can talk about.
So what I'm hearing exactly is, you're stronger than you realize. And to me, that's saying, humans are so resilient. We just don't realize how resilient we are. A lot of us fight our resiliency, our ability to come out of things. Let's go into, I don't know why I am seeing 1930, what was it? The crash in 36. I'm seeing that right now, and people jumping out of buildings and stuff like that. And these people, they thought they lost everything, but they didn't lose everything. But because they felt they lost everything, because everything was material to them, and they lost all their wealth, they jumped to not deal with it. The reality of it is they could very well have come back and probably been even richer than they were, but they didn't think of it in those terms. So they took the leap that took them to the other side.
Okay. How about we talk auras, chakras, again, the vibration stuff, where people are a certain vibration. You can tell if they're carrying a lot of weight or they're lighter. Can you give us some more description there? And then how, again, can we start to appreciate the different vibrations? We've talked a little bit about it on the show, but can you put it more in terms of light, chakras, auras, our vibration? And again, we talked about it with the cha-cha-cha, the dancing, ecstatic dancing.
So chakras are your energy fields that are in the front and the back. So they're cone shaped. What was that candy? Not candy, it was a snack treat. There was bugles. So it looks like a bugle, like those bugle bites. I don't know if you remember those.
Like a cone.
Junk food. Yeah. It's like a cone. And so there's one in the front, one in the back, and it goes clockwise. And it sits in front of on the body, the 7 chakras in your body, in your torso, and in your head. If you think about it, they're all protecting a major organ, both front and back. Now, chakras can get dented. They could get still, stop moving. Not because you're dead, just not all of them. Just like you could find, let's say you've had a lot of heartbreak and a lot of disappointment, and you're not letting it go. You're holding on to it. This is when you can have dents and things in the chakras, which, by the way, guess what? They can be fixed. They can be worked on. You can get your chakras balanced because they can become imbalanced. But knowing, pay attention to where they are. If you're having trouble with your heart chakra, which is the 4th chakra, you have to go, okay, why? What is it? And how do I, you have to feel about what's happened in your life. And the other side of that, and I've been meaning to bring this up, is that somebody told me this, and then I heard it many times afterwards, but before I became a healer, that everybody is exactly where they are in their life for what it is they need to experience, live, heal, change, whatever it might be. So again, if you're feeling blocked, you have to go into the, okay, why am I blocked? What is it? You know, as a child, somebody might have um, stifled you or humiliated you. Well, that might, might show up in your first chakra of safety. You might, if you were sexually abused, it would show up in your second chakra, things like that. If you were repressed, your third chakra might be really, slow moving or reversing because of that. So it's, you know when your chakras are balanced, because again, it's the vibration, you feel it. And when things are out, you'll know that those areas in your life are out of sorts.
Do you put your hands out to feel those chakras? Do you see? Do you sense, feel, see, a combo?
It's a combo. I do. If I'm working on somebody, I want to see their chakras, I'll go with the pendulum, because it's just easier to take a pendulum and hold it over the chakra and for them to tell me, the chakra to show me, the pendulum to show me what's going on. So if I'm holding a pendulum, let's say over your first chakra, and it's going at a perfect pace clockwise, okay, that chakra is good. But if you go into the second one, and let's say, you get a still point, well, then there's something, you're stuck in your second chakra. There are times I can feel it. It depends what modality I'm working at or what I'm doing. I can see energy. I can see, by the way, around you, it has been flipping in and out. I don't know if you've seen this, but it almost looks like the aurora borealis. It's like the different colored lights. It's like there's a shading around you, and then the different colored lights sort of like weave in, almost like that fruit gum, that fruit gum, striped fruit gum.
Yep. And I got to mention, my energy's 1% off today. So second we're getting off, I'll be doing the saging and just chiming those tingshas and other stuff, just because I was running so much in the heat and a bunch of stuff, shocks hit me a couple days ago. So talking with you today, I realized, oh my God, I've got to do self-care acts as soon as we get off. And I wanted to get right to it. I was going to do it earlier, but you just teed it up perfectly for all of us. I want to keep talking about this topic too. So we're going to come back to that. Okay. So this is a traditional American Bic lighter. I've probably done this on one show at least this year. There's a regular lighter. Do people see white, gold, orange? Pick a color. You can't get this wrong. Say it out loud at your home as you're watching this in 2025 with Marla Goldberrg, 2rs.com. Marla, as you would spell it, Goldberg, BERRG.com. Now, ask Joy the Angel to do a little angel light. You'd expect pink, extra light around the light. We know Bic lighters are generally not pink on top of the yellow, white, gold, but you might get purple. You should ask for pink, and let's get Claire in here, because purple's her absolute favorite. I'm going to throw her under the bus, the purple bus.
Yes, I am the purple girl.
But pink's pretty close. So pink and purple, whatever you're going to do, if you need to stretch, make a fist. That's thinking. That's what we know. That's our lack. It's our bank account. It's our boss. It's our ex, our 5 exes. You've been divorced 5 times. Now just open your hand. It's that simple. Good luck with that. Not going to happen. You're going to need Marla's help. Contact her. Okay. Bottom line is I'm going to do this, but ask angels to make it nice. Like you're a New Yorker, you get it. You walk into a restaurant, you know the owner, the maitre d', you're like, I don't need the menu. Make it nice, the usual. And that's the way it works. Big city stuff. Tell angels it's okay. Be polite. Please, angels, make it nice. Help me out of my head, into my heart. Let me see with my heart. Your brain doesn't have to do anything. You just go. Okay. Ask for a little extra, breathe and relax. I'm going to tell one dad joke. And this is my worst dad joke ever. What's the only flower found on the human face? Tulips. But just see some extra angel light. And Marla, you're our person now. What do you see around the lighter?
Okay, so I'm seeing blue and purple around. Yeah.
Beautiful. Nice. Let's bring in our blue and purple angel representatives, Charlotte and
Claire.
Yeah, and if you don't mind putting your hands out, but get a whoosh, not just on your hands. How about your back, your head? You probably have, and I know you do, you have an appointment coming up. You'll let us know when. But get energy that's pure love and light from angels to carry you through your day today, plus to light you up with more on this topic, because where and how can people let go more? Can they stand in a mirror and look at their own aura?
Can they? Some people can. Not everybody. I don't always see auras. It comes and it goes. But I know that for me, I don't see my own aura, but I could see in somebody else.
So let's do it this way. Here's one of those again, a lighter, but now my finger's the lighter. So off my finger, the Bic, here's the light. You can see my light. And if you want to put your finger out after a little bit, see my light first, have Joy and Charlotte do all the heavy lifting, and Claire. And just see what you can see. I'm going to try to go on an old bodyboarding surf experience.
Oh, it's like a butter yellow.
And if you want to put your finger out to the screen, only the highest intent, angels are chaperoning. And I'll just feel the heat off my finger to your finger, but now see it light. Like I'm lighting your candle, you're lighting my candle, whichever. And do you see it on your finger just a little?
It's so cool. I mean, I feel it. I don't see it, but I feel it.
Here, but let's ask Charlotte, ask these three, get a resounding yes that you can see the light on your finger if you want. Breathe and relax, look at your finger, ask Tug to jump in there and help you. Look at your finger and do anything you want with it.
Okay, so now I'm seeing purple come off the nail.
I'm loving this. So I've got to do clap, clap, clap for you because holy cow, first, it's her favorite color. And you'll see it all over her website, her show, everything else. You've got the curtain in the back with the stars. Okay, talk to us though. What's purple mean? Let's go random and I'll buy you a little time. She said red. And you know how if you go on the internet and you look at chakra definitions, there's a million of them. I mean, I remember 12 years ago, I'm like, what do chakras mean? Everyone had a different set of definitions. Well, angels gave me some definitions. Joy said that red was laughter. And I was like, whoa, no one ever said that before. I love that.
I love it. I love it too. I've only known it as, well, it could be anger, but I look at it as passion.
Yeah, or raw is how I kind of just the raw base stuff. But when she said laughter, and I'll throw out one more on the other end. So what is it? White, then rainbow light. Abe, the Abraham of old said, and I'll bring him in a second if you remind me. He said that it was not the mark or sign. I don't, it's too strong. Just when you're in healing mode, you're wide open. Rainbow light. But back to purple. Talk to us about purple. Here's Claire. And just give us a purple speech because it is so important to you. It is one of your favorite colors.
Well, it's the highest, violet is the highest of frequencies. You can do white. The seventh chakra, you could look at it as either white or violet. But it's a very high frequency. And I think it feels, there's a feeling if you just let yourself feel into colors, you can feel that violet, there's something sort of a peaceful elegance is what I'm hearing in violet.
Does Metatron do, I never get anything completely right, but does Metatron do a little bit of violet light? Am I?
No, the Saint Germain.
Okay.
He's the violet flame. He's the overseer of the violet flame, which, by the way, is so powerful at transmuting negativity and things. And there's a number of prayers that Saint Germain, if you go into Saint Germain's thing, that you could do. Let me see if I could find one for you. Give me you keep talking. Let me see if I could find a violet flame.
Sure. And I'll set up Abe, the Abraham of old. I've got an actual human photo, but Marla can quickly have Abe, grandfather, fatherly energy, who's on everyone's team. He'll tell you he was kind of a jerk when he was a human, but he's here to not teach people how to fish. He hands out fish. Wonderful figure. I describe him as sort of a Gandalf meets, what's Harry Potter, the head of the school? Dumbledore. He's sort of a gray, happy figure that can show up a lot in human form. We haven't talked about this at all, but angels out and about as you walk around can show up in full-on human form. You only have to allow for this possibility and then invite it in. They may not talk to you. They may just hold the door open. I say this every time with sparkly eyes, and you just get a happy vibe from them. They may say something you were just thinking that morning or the conversation from the weekend, and then it was total synchronicity that they said it just the right way, and you're left on cloud 9. But if you want, here's Abe, Marla. I think you found what you were looking for. Can you get a little something from Abe for all of us?
Wow. You know, I'm seeing him in two ways. So I'm seeing him, you know, really big and strong and resilient, but I also see him being very paternal to people, you know, where he's very much about wanting to instill values and thoughts and ways into them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I'll tell a quick peace story, not a war story, of Abe. It's probably like 10 years ago. We were at the 24-hour diner across from Whole Foods headquarters, and it was evening. Had just gotten done doing a little session in the diner, and we're sitting behind an SUV, the front seat, not turned on yet. It's a cold 20-degree night, and a Hagrid figure, I got to do Harry Potter today for some reason, a Hagrid figure is walking across the front of the car. Now, that was Abe. We didn't know it at the time, in human form, not his usual gray-haired style. That Hagrid figure from the movies has a very distinct, that actor, look. I only saw the external stuff. The person I'm with saw the internal and didn't see the external. I saw all the Starbucks cups under this huge man's arm, and he was walking downtown. It turns out to give out Starbucks hot coffee to homeless who are freezing. But he stopped, turned, and somehow time went all gobbledygook. And I kept asking to the person in the vehicle, I'm like, is that an angel? Is that an angel? I asked Charlotte. She's like, move on. No one gave me a straight answer. And I've never put my foot down to that moment. I'm like, I'll take an answer, please. And literally time went flip-flopped. And finally I hear a yes. By the time I jumped out of the car, somehow this felt like 5 minutes. The person's gone. And they were looking at us. We were looking at them. Again, the other person didn't see the Starbucks cups. They're much more better at all this. They saw the bigger inner aspect of Abe. All we got was the name Abe. It took a couple years to realize there's an Abraham and this is the same figure. But when I ran down to the street corner, like, I don't know, 30 feet away, look left, look right, they're nowhere. And this is a big guy who can't just run away. So he was off helping homeless stay warm that night. I thought that was interesting. And so if you just put it out there, give yourself, if you're jittery about it, or you're like, I don't know if I can, it's like a push-up or a diet or a going on vacation, or playing high vibe music as she recommended. Just ask angels to make it nice and catch you off guard in a great way that's upbeat and makes your work day, it makes your week, it makes your month. I've got a few encounters where I still yap about them. At the time I was yapping about them 3 months later. It was that incredible. So
Wow.
yeah, I went to Maui and I met a Portuguese ballerina taking time off from life that I got to surf with. It wasn't a real Portuguese ballerina. They got a Hollywood wardrobe. It was Heather, who makes hearts in her photographs. As soon as I remember where I put the other photos. And she is absolutely wonderful. If you go to my website on the photograph page, you can see angels in heart form. There's Heather. She's compassion. If you want to think of her as an Amazonian Wonder Woman, do it. But she comes across in a lot of different ways. South Africans who have met her can feel, she's very tied to Africa, can feel the soil of South Africa, what they remember from their childhood. So we're just buying a little more time. Marla's going to come back with the Saint Germain invocation in a second. But what do you have from Heather for us about compassion or the heart?
A strong heart offers gentle compassion to many.
Okay, Saint Germain, I think we bought you all the time in the world now.
You did. Okay, so I'm going to go to this one. Wait, where did it go? Hang on.
I didn't do it.
Here we go. No, you didn't. Violet flame, heal us from the wounds with violet balm. We are the prisoners lame, restore us to the home of Ram. Violet flame, we too are sons of God, but in shame. We approach you as a team, tame us to step into the temple warm. Violet flame, we pray, we kneel down and prostrate at your dome. So when you do that 3 times, the invocation. So then there's, I didn't even know that there were this many, but I know that there were 3 of them that I would say constantly at the beginning of my journey. And I would just sit there and say it over and over and over again. And, it just is about, healing and transmuting the negative out of your life into the positive.
And so, yeah, I was trying to find a photo here. Do you like this photo of Saint Germain? Or is that not a good one?
No, I think I think it's a fine one. And I think that, he just, I don't know. I just feel the love from him.
What do you hear from him? One more quick topic and we'll move on to the next thing.
Let me help. Find my invocations. Let me help.
And that is basically a great point, which is if you don't ask, you don't get. It's like a vacation, a raise, a date, just your own exploration of yourself. Your heart is actually the territory to get into. Find what you're resisting and relax on the details. Find a way to get around whatever it is. If it's somebody who's a jerk 22 neighborhoods over or at work, don't put your focus there. So maybe talk to us about spending your energy in directions that are only going to get you bonked.
Well, first of all, you need to understand that where your thoughts go, energy flows. And when energy flows somewhere, that's where the manifestation is. So if your energy is about harm and negativity and that, guess what you're bringing to yourself is exactly what you're focusing on. And it's funny because there's something that Saint Germain said that is the truth, and that is, thoughts are really benign until you put emotion behind it. It's when you put that emotion behind it is when you ignite the domino effect or the floodgates, of where it's going to go, and where you're pushing the energy to. It's the emotion. So if it's love and joy and happiness, and you wish the best for people, guess what? You're going to get that coming back to you. But if you're looking to harm or want someone to be harmed or or have everything taken away or all the negative, my feeling is spirit will take care of it. It might not be in this lifetime. We may not see it in this body in this lifetime. It will happen because when people do nefarious negative things like steal and lie and cheat and do all of those things, well, they might get away with it in this life, but in their next life, they are going to be the ones who are lied to, stolen from, cheated on. And that's where the karmic cycle works. So don't make it upon yourself to do that.
When people speak out loud or when they're thinking, they're not always, though. You're not your thoughts. I'm going to mention Peaceful Warrior, Dan Millman's film, the gymnastics movie. It's a little bit of Zen in there, but there's a reminder that you're not actually your thoughts in another sense. Don't view it as total, like, oh my God, I just thought something bad. And then for 2 days, walk around and rehash it again and again.
You could stop it. Say clear, delete 3 times. Clear, delete, clear, delete, clear, delete. So if you have a negative thought or if you have a negative feeling, stop the energy from turning around and coming back at you by saying clear, delete. You can say clear, delete, transmute, release. I mean, people have different ways of saying it.
But that was a good, quick one. That was the fastest one I've ever heard. Can we hear Charlotte and Joy? Like, are they laughing at, like, they're like, that was a good one.
They're happy.
Yeah.
They're like going.
Okay, so let's do finances for a second. How can a person go straight to visualizing their bank account growing? Is there a surefire way a person can allow for more abundance? I mean, obviously, positivity is abundance first, and being happy and hitting the heart button as much as you can and remember to during the day. But finances are what we all think about at times. If we're a good American or a good European out there, some of us are struggling. What can we do to envision more abundance?
Well, you can have first of all those meditations, those guided meditations I talked to about. Those are great at helping you as they guide you to visualize your path. It's a two-edged sword, because unless you start healing and unless you start changing and being grateful, no matter what you do, this is not going to lead you to what you think you want. So my first say is if you're in this negative whirlpool, like what do they call it? I'm having such a hard time today with words, but like a tidal wave or something that pulls you down.
And Eddie,
Okay, and Eddie, you need to start working on stopping that, because people who say, yeah, I set the intention that I'm rich, money comes to me, I'm a magnet, but yet they keep their old habits of how they treat people, how they treat themselves, how they think about money, um, all that. It becomes futile. That's when things don't manifest as you want them to, because again, you're not changing your energy. When you change your energy of how you think, how you do things, um, then you open up more space for the positive manifestations to come through. But if you're still dealing in a negative way with the majority of your stuff, or with limiting thoughts and behaviors, then you're going to keep things, you may get something, but then it goes away. There's I play mahjong on computer. And so, it breaks in with these commercials, and I don't know what it's called, something, but they're always showing some poor woman with a child or something where she's freezing and she can get money, and you pull out these pins and the money comes down. So you can almost take this game as an analogy that when you're not pulling out the right pins to fill your pot to take care of what you need, you're still dealing in the same ways. It's when you can see how to do that and fill your pot, is when you're healing, and when you're starting to be able to manifest more, when your vibe is coming up and you're able to do it.
now for manifesting, like I've said this on some other shows too, but I mean, I'll ask really dumb questions and there's no such thing. We know that. But I mean, I'll ask Geronimo. We'll bring him up in a second.
I love Geronimo.
Yeah, and I've got Audrey Hepburn here too. But so I asked Geronimo, this is probably like a month and a half ago now. I was like, Geronimo, am I a good manifester? And he was just like, sweet Jesus, Mike, yes. And a lot of us have to hear stuff not 100 or 10 times, but like 1,000 times for a decade before we just allow and get over it. And think about the easy stuff. Learning to drive a car. It was a really big deal when you were 14, 15, 18, whenever. Maybe you didn't learn to drive. You're in New York City and it's 25 and you got to finally learn how to drive. And now, do you even care? You're stuck in traffic in LA, like most people, honking, yelling at that driver, like you talked about. 1 in 10 people, 1 in 50 are like, oh, pointy bird, I'm so lucky that it stopped the traffic. I got to see an eagle fly by. And what a moment. The rest of us are like honk, honk, and we're not present. So can you just talk to us a little bit about manifesting from your perspective? There was a time where you had a little bit happen, then a lot more happen. You might have taken some steps back, the cha-cha-cha.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm going to go to your car, your freeway analogy. So I put roses behind a car, and I'll just gently say, okay, let's push the roses to get them going.
That is so parallel. There's a lot of people who send vibes. It could be prayer if it's religious, but others are just like, hey, send love and light to someone. And we had a guest on the show. I got to mention her name only because it was the most unique way of phrasing it. Teresa Shantz, Teresa, Teresa Shantz said, don't send it to the person, send it to their angel squad or crew. They know how to distribute it the right way. And I was like, brilliant. I'd never heard that. And I'm looking at your reaction and I thought, but it's what you said about the roses. Don't send the energy to the car. See roses behind the car, and then you can push the roses as much as you want, and angels will do the fixing.
Yeah, I bend time a lot. I tend to bend time quite a bit. So I don't know if you're familiar with.
Ooh, talk to us about that, and how does that work?
You're running late, right? And it's your angel squad. It's like you say, okay, I'm running late, bend time, so I get there, instead of being a half hour late, maybe I'm 5 minutes late or 10 minutes late. But safely get there by bending time, in the right time frame. And you set an intention, and I do this. I do this quite a bit because
time. What's Charlotte say and Michael say, if you don't mind sharing out loud, about your bending time requests, and they're honoring it, how well you're doing on that front, if you don't mind sharing.
The first word I heard was brilliant, with laughter, like that's brilliant. And yeah, I mean, if you can do almost anything, and if you ask for it, and it's in your highest and best good, it's going to happen for you. Just know that if it doesn't happen the way you're intending it to happen, then maybe they're saving you from something.
Mm.
Maybe they're saving you from an accident or from hurting someone or having a tire blowout or something like that. You just don't know.
Audrey,
Audrey, oh my God, such a beautiful being.
if anybody wants to catch a perfume from France, or if you can think of something even more exotic, do it. Have her bring you a gorgeous, fantastic smell and the vibration that goes with it.
I'm seeing her joy at being part of UNICEF and helping those less fortunate. You know, when she was on this earth, she's such a benevolent soul and giving back, especially to children.
Good. Sorry, I'm doing my thing here and gonna have a blank look. Dull Knife, Native American chief is unconditional love, wisdom with some humor. Dull Knife. And if you want to get something personal, if you want to catch a tobacco smell, sweetgrass, sage, you don't have to light sage to have sage. So there's another one of those. There is no time or space.
He's a very knowing being. I mean, like wisdom, knowledge.
What's his favorite advice to give out to, generally speaking, over time to folks?
Well, you can't cut anything straight with a dull knife.
No one's ever said that before. I love it. Okay. Red shirt, gentlest mom in the world. I always ruin his introduction, but he's the gentlest mom in the world. He's compassion, compassion, compassion. He's so soft-spoken and beautiful.
Wow.
And what's his reminder for us all?
You don't have to hit everything with a sledgehammer to have your way. I don't know if I said that right, but
so you don't have to be too forceful. Like the littlest touch can affect the largest ripple. How about that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, young Geronimo, we're going to do old Geronimo. For old Geronimo, everyone should put a seatbelt on because, oh my God, even young Geronimo, though, too. He's action, 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 dry wit, humor. The Nike bumper sticker, just do it. If you don't mind hearing a big compliment for the last couple of years for letting go on a certain front, and then a topic you both can talk about with us.
Oh, warrior. I am a warrior, is what he said.
And it's the inner, fearless, peaceful warrior, Dan Millman. Check out the film with Nick Nolte, Scott Micklewitz, Amy Smart. It won't ruin the book. Book's fantastic with more detail.
Great movie.
Yeah, and people have met Sock. If buy Dan's books, do his seminars, but if nobody minds me saying this out loud, Sock's an angel people can meet. Okay, here's older Geronimo for you. We'll wrap it up then after that, but we'll make sure we hear from you. Any last points you want to make? Here's older Geronimo. If people out there can go for the whole package, feeling, smelling a traditional native sacred scent, asking for some fortitude. You got to run a marathon this weekend. Ask for extra oomph, Shakti, chi, whatever you want to call it. But here is older Geronimo. Feel his medicine, so to speak, healing.
You know, he's such a benevolent guy. I mean, in younger, he was a warrior, but as an older, he was the, I'm just feeling his paternal force, his gentleness, his guidance, his strength, his resilience. And he feels we all need to remember our own gentleness and strength and resourcefulness and resilience.
And can you have him and you talk about, don't be afraid to ask, even if it's out loud in your closet. You're trying to choose shirts. It doesn't have to be about the color of the shirt and what shirt you should wear. I'm talking more life. But this is the point. It can be something small to practice being open in the moment, to ask, allow, receive, or whatever version is supposed to work. But hearing about asking more. How about that?
Well, I'm going to paraphrase because I can't say it the way he is. But basically, he's saying that if you don't ask, you don't get. You have to ask for things to be able to receive them, even if you ask them of yourself, not necessarily outward. You can ask inward. You can ask the beings the other side. But if you don't ask, how are you going to receive?
So this is incredible. I feel like we've been going in a spiral, a circle around a basic core point that doesn't get expressed enough for any of us, which is in our heart, we're connected to everything in the universe. We are love or light.
Yes.
Pick a word that you like or a
We
phrase.
are all love.
Yeah, universal flow.
And we are light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the second we get into thinking, we're like Scrooge somewhere during the movie. At the beginning, he's dental floss for that connection to here. At the end of the film, we forget he's the most amazing fellow ever, and he's actually good business, but probably the most spiritual person ever because he's actually saying hi 50 feet away, saying, "How's it going there, Fred?" Not quite, but with an English accent.
But
So
what
my-
happened
yeah.
after he was opened, by past, present, future? I don't know if it was in that sequence, but after he was open, then he realized he didn't have to be the miser. He didn't have to hang on so tightly, to be able to have a full and abundant life.
So how do we shove that big concept? It's like a bowling ball, and they say an ant trying to get a bowling ball into an ant brain. Good luck with that. How do we even grasp the concept that's ungraspable to the psyche, to the ego, to what we know, to our own? But I'm stuck. I'm $200,000 in debt. I got this 16 different health issues. I got 19 kids. You don't understand. I'm on my 19th divorce. They're all very real, very painful, very stuck. And we don't want to acknowledge how open we are anytime we want to pay attention. This is almost the humanity thing, being human, human being.
Take it. So you said it earlier. So it's like, just test with something small. So, what I learned back in the day when I first started is asking for a rock star parking spot, right? So as I'm pulling up, thank you, Spirit. You always start with gratitude. Thank you in advance for the rock star parking space. I'm so grateful. It's raining. You're saving my shoes. You're saving my hip, whatever it might be. And then test it. And then test it. And keep doing those little tests. And you will find that the more you do them, the more it's going to, things will show up for you because you're asking with gratitude in advance for what it is.
So your morning cup of coffee, your morning cup of tea, which shirt you're going to wear, going for a walk with your dog at 6 a.m. because you love your dog, but you're usually starting to check off all the things you got to do at work 2 hours later. How do you, and then this is where you just learn to practice hitting the heart button, not getting stuck up in the mind with what you know, the fender bender. You've got roses at the bumper of the car. Anyone watching from 10 minutes ago should give you the best traffic idea. Picture roses and the rear of the car fender in front of you. Don't put your energy on the car. Just ask angels to move those roses forward. What a great idea. Very original there.
Yeah.
Marla, what else do you have for us? This is Marla Goldberg, GOLDBERRRG.
Yes.
For real. I don't have you should have a little moniker for the double R's, what it means.
Oh, gosh.
Really?
I should.
Real. That's what I've
Really
got right now so far. Yeah,
really resourceful.
Yeah, really resourceful. There we go. We're getting better. But
really responsive.
MarlaGoldberg.com, really responsive. What's a final pep talk for us that we do have it all right now? Still check out her stuff. Check out that book, this author, that movie. You got to go down your path.
Everything is temporary. Everything is temporary. And it means that it could be temporary in your, if you're struggling, that might just be something very temporary. And when you start shifting, things will shift and sort of like flow you out of where you're at, allowing it. If you've got, you may be able to receive more. But even if you're having interpersonal relationships, it's temporary. And know that, Bashar said it the best. I don't know if you know Bashar, but he's one of my favorite entities. And this became a mantra for me. But a relationship is a relationship till it's not a relationship anymore. So, and that's not just for being romantic and lovers. This is business. This is friendship. This is, community. This is whatever it is. Relationships are in our life for a reason, season, or a lifetime. So know that it's temporary. If it stays because it's meant to be there. And if it flows away, it flows away, and allow it to, because they have their journey and you have yours. Your vibration might be rising and the people around you can't be in your vibration. It's I posted something over the weekend that's like, darkness goes away with light. So be in your light and push the darkness away. I'm paraphrasing what I wrote because I can't remember, but everything is channeled. So when I channel, I don't remember things, but it's something to that effect. So no, be your own light and know that if things shift away out of your life, it's meant to be for a reason. So just allow it. It's their path. It's your path. It's both your paths.
Beautiful point. I'm going to do one last angel for you. You've already met her. You've already talked to her. You've already shared with us. But Min, I have a different photo of her. This is her.
Twin men.
Yeah, when they double like this, I always joke that the wings are out versus just a solid ball of white light. So there's Min just in a different form. Catch a little ocean in the air. And final thought or advice or idea or reminder.
Please be kind to people. You don't know what they're going through. That's the number one reminder. It's really important. And I used to be a one chance person. I have expanded to give somebody at least 3 chances to show you who they are, because some people just don't make a great first impression. So give them another opportunity, or even 2 more opportunities before you make a decision and keep an opinion and lock someone down and out.
Or 1.5 chances.
Or 1.5.
If you're tough love type person, make it 1.5. So, well, Marla Goldberg, thank you very much for being on Angels, Positivity, and Love.
Thank you. So grateful for you. Thank you to all the angels that came to join us today and all that stay around you for guiding you in this amazing journey that we're all taking. Well, and thank you again. And I want to remind everybody, please like, subscribe. Make sure you check out Marla's show. You're going to love it. She's been at it much longer than I have, 5 years, lots of amazing guests. You're easily going to find her everywhere and in the details down below this video. Thank you again, everybody, for tuning into another episode of Angels, Positivity, and Love. Marla, great having you on. Thank you. Great being here with you, Michael. Thank you so much.